because yeah. And for practice today, I want to be real easy, just into the body, move a little bit, open some stuff up. I have a tennis ball here. I mentioned that a minute ago, but if you don't have a tennis ball, then your fist is going to be fine. We're really not going to use it very much. I actually grabbed it as kind of a visual aid here. So this tennis, so have you ever heard, folks who have gone through a lot of yoga and philosophy training will often discuss like whether or not a pen is a pen. Like there's like that joke about perspective, or kind of consideration that if I take a pen, I'm going to use it for what I think a pen is for. But if I like give a pen to a dog, they might chew on it. If I give a pen to a cow, they're just going to stare at me funny, because your perspective changes based on your experiences. So I grabbed this tennis ball because to me, this tennis ball is a useful tool to help to work out some of the kinks in my body. It is a necessary therapeutic device in my life. That is, when I look at a tennis ball, that is what I see. A person who actually plays sports ball will look at this and say, this is a necessary tool for me to play this game that I enjoy or that I'm wrapped up into. My dog looks at this ball and she sees it as completely useless. There is a dog in my bedroom right now that would gladly chase and slobber all over this and completely destroy my ability to use it for therapeutic purposes. And I think you see where I'm going with this, that we have all of these different backgrounds and different needs that shape our perception of the same thing. There is, I think, an element that we don't get into a lot, and that's like that fine line that we walk. Like, I get to have like this, I need to change my perspective about my body and what my body can do, and about my mindfulness practice. Like, I just have to like believe that I can do it, and it's all gonna like, my attitude is gonna shift all of that. Yes, it does. But if I were to go to you and say that this tennis ball is worth $10 million, or this tennis ball is the perfect tool to build a house, or if you just like rub this tennis ball around your car, it's going to improve the fuel economy of the car. Doesn't matter how much I believe that those nutty things are true, they're not. There is still a need to recognize what is. And that's part of where like a lot of the way that we practice in these classes is focused around. It's, I want to be with what is, and I want to have a good attitude about what is and what might be. Of like walking somewhere along that path. We have the discernment to figure out what is this reality, and we also have the power over our perception to alter that in some way, to at least approach the reality in the right way. So yeah, it's one of those moments I wish that we were still like all in a room together, because then I would know if you're like staring at me really blankly but your eyes are very far away. So I'm gonna assume that we're all on board with this. And we're gonna use this in a moment. Just like I said, practice today, just moving around in the body, kind of seeing what's here, how do I feel, how is it different than yesterday, how can I just be at peace with whatever it is by altering that perspective. So take your index finger and thumb together, starting at the center of your forehead, brush outwards towards your temples a few times. And then going from the sides of your nose out to your temples. From the temples down to your chin. And from the sides of your nose down to your chin. And then massaging those spots underneath and behind your ears where those bony spots are. Right in between the bony spots is about where your skull and your spine come together. So if you lift up from that point, it can feel real nice. And keeping that lift as you relax your hands down into your lap. This was a quick mini meditation here. Kind of examine, I mean, you pick all of it or parts of it, but your body or your head space, and start to think of like what kind of feeling words you would use, the discernment kind of things like open, cranky, happy, any of that. And just as you notice what comes up, taking that in, saying, yes, I feel cranky today. I don't, I've just picked a word out. But then deciding if that's a narrative that you want to stick with, or if you can acknowledge it as a reality that you would like to shift your perspective about a little bit. Maybe it's in your body, like you're feeling very tight in the outer hips. So then saying, I have this tightness. I will be seeking an openness and willing to deal with the in-between, the tightness and the openness. To build up towards our 3 ohms, you are always welcome to just exhale or let out a death metal growl or do nothing at all. Start with a nice big breath in through your nose and then exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. We're going to start to come out into child's pose just for a brief visit, and then we'll do some weird stuff. I saw a couple of people just pop in. I have a tennis ball here. If you don't have one, you're just going to use your fist when we get there. So it's not going to make or break your practice. So knees a little wider perhaps, hips reaching back. Whether or not they get onto your heels doesn't matter. Just go ahead and settle in, walk those arms out, maybe shift your hips a little bit side to side. I'm going to just take 3 breaths, just kind of taking it all in. Observe how your body feels here, especially around the lower back and pelvis. Just like, what's going on? And then you're going to start to walk your hands back up. I want you to sit over to one side, and you're going to grab your, or swing your legs around. You're going to grab your tennis ball or use a fist. And what you want to do is you want to kind of, you'll know when you hit the spot, but right up about, I want to say like about midway or just a hair off of the center of your cheek, right up at the top part of the really meaty stuff. So it's going to be right in there, and you're just going to kind of lean back on it, kind of like a, yeah, like top 10 or 20% of your booty cheek, middle 50% or slightly off center, and then you're just gonna like shift a little bit. And then for like a little extra, if you can scooch back over just a little, oh my goodness. Carry a little, this is some upper butt release, gluteus medius. Just kind of get right in there. Yeah. One more exhale. And then shift to the other side. So you're just gonna bring it, it's kind of like, so you get to the main part of the booty and like the top 10-20%, and it's like center of the cheek and maybe like a little, like a hair off, and then kind of like, yeah. This is when somebody walks in the room and they're like, I thought you were doing yoga. And you're like, I'm not really sure. But like you're still breathing and being present, so yeah, you are. And then like that little, you can kind of see I'm just kind of shifting back just a little bit. And you just got your fist under your bum, if that's what you're using, because this is it, that's all we had to do. Nonsense, like I said, we just might as well do something with it since I grabbed it out. Oh gosh. I didn't even know how much I needed that. Okay, back to child's pose. Woo-wee. So this could only be my experience and my story about it, but I feel so much more open in the lower back, in the upper butt region, and one of the biggest parts that are changed or stretched out in child's pose. So notice your own experience. If you're like, I have no idea what the heck that was or where the ball goes, you can either let it go or you can ask me about it later. All good stuff. And then you're going to take your hands over to the right edge of your mat. Maybe you put your left hand down on top of your right hand. Find some place to put your head. And then reach out through both hands, feeling your left hip pulled back just a little bit to kind of bring them something like even, those hips. One more breath. And then walking it over towards the left edge of your mat. Maybe the right hand goes on top. And then drop your head somewhere. You can kind of rest my head a little bit on the left arm. That feels okay. Gently drawing that right hip back. One more exhale. And bring it back to center. Maybe wiggle your fingertips out a little bit more. Feel the hips drawing back. Big breath in. Big breath out. And start to pull yourself upwards in the table pose, bringing your knees in underneath your hips. We're going to thread the needle. I'm going to take your left hand a little bit further forward this time, and then come down onto your right shoulder, and then you're going to come up onto your fingertips. If I have my left hand just a little bit further forward, I'm actually getting a little bit of a chest stretch here. You might notice that, you might not. Feel the breath in the back of your heart. Try to relax your hips on top of your thigh bones. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then slide that left hand a little closer again so you can unwind your right arm and come back to table pose. And your right hand goes a little bit further forward. Left arm slides underneath, rest your head, come onto fingertips. I will forever have my earbuds falling out. One day I will have the magic of audio, etc., and Oops, not today. That's fine. Relax your hips on top of your thigh bones. Big breath in the back of the heart. One more round of breath. And slide that right hand in a little bit more. Unwind the left side. Let's take a couple of cat and cow. Drop the belly, look up, breathe in. Exhale, round. 2 more. Inhale, look up, exhale, tuck your tail. Again, inhale. Exhale. Coming to a more neutral spine. So I'm gonna face you here. You want your left toes face behind you, right leg goes out. I'll just mirror you, and then you're gonna take your left hand over to the side and your right arm up. Okay. It's like a little side plank variation at this space. And then you're gonna reach your right arm up and over your nose. It's just slightly in front of your ear, giving a little bit more space behind the shoulder. Try to push the pinky toe edge of your foot down if you are able to. If it doesn't make it, that's fine. One more exhale. And then reach that arm up. Lift your heart up above your hips. And then you're gonna rest this hand. Actually, you're gonna turn now your toes upwards. See if you can fire up this little muscle right up above your knee. So your quadriceps, like the bottom of your quadriceps here. And then you're gonna reach your left arm up. Notice if your hips are falling back. There is a tendency to do that. We get very tight here. See if you can lift up the fronts of your hips. Then you have just a little bit more core lift too. One more exhale. And then you're gonna take your left hand down. Inhale, reach your right arm over. Exhale, pull it up. Inhale, reach. Exhale, take it down. Just notice if you can keep the hips open. Just one more time. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, take it down. Now you're gonna lift this leg up, bend into your knee, reach your toes back, reach your fingertips back. Try to press the hips forward. You don't need to hold the foot, but you might. Release the top shoulder back so your collarbones are open. Reach the heart down into the bottom arm so that collarbone is open. Maybe you push the foot back into the hand a little bit here. Notice whether you're breathing still. And then you're gonna let it go. You're gonna walk your hands back to face towards the front. Little break in puppy dog pose before we go to the other side. So you're gonna leave your hips above your knees this time. Walk your hands up, drop your forehead if you can. Let your heart melt down, like it's just gonna drip down in between your ribs right onto the mat. Big exhale. Walking your hands back in, and then we'll go to the other side. So you're gonna have your right leg out, or left leg out, and your right hand over, right and left. You're gonna open it up, because you're gonna give your hips a chance to kind of open up and forward. And then take your arm up and over your nose. Your ear is the thing that I was putting the thing in. Okay, this is fine. Try to reach the pinky toe edge of your foot downward, releasing the outer shin there. Oh, it's getting even sunnier if that was possible. Good. One more exhale. Draw the belly and lift it up. Then you're gonna turn your toes to face up. You're gonna try to fire up this quadriceps. It's gonna help to protect your knee. And then you reach upwards through that right side. Maybe you can release the shoulder blade up too. Notice if you have a tendency to sit back here. Noticing it without judgment, saying, oh, I just have that tendency. Now what do I do about it? One more exhale. And take it up. I'm gonna drop your hand down. You're gonna reach the arm over so you can relax this foot, this leg that's out there, yeah? And then we're gonna take it up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Drop it down. Inhale, reach. Exhale, come up. Inhale, reach. Exhale, take it down, reach. And then you're gonna lift the leg, bend into it, reach the arm back. A lot of fingertips here, yeah, that was weird. And then you might hold the foot, you might not. In either case, you're gonna reach those limbs back, feel your hips going forward as much as you can. Just giving our tight hip flexors a chance to untighten themselves. One more breath in. Go ahead and release that. We're gonna come back into puppy dog just for a quick breather. So walk your hands forward, my hips are above my knees, melt the heart down. Just a big inhale. Exhale, really let that heart fall into the front of your ribs. And then walk it back. You're gonna come down into a seat. You're gonna bring your legs in front of you, hands back behind you. You can stay on fingertips and just take this stretch in the front of your chest, or palms plant down. It's okay if they face out a little bit, but at least mostly forward. And then pressing into your hands, lift your hips up, altar pose. Feel your knees reach forward, your heart pulls up, push that floor away. One more breath in. Exhale, lower it down. You're gonna come out onto your belly, sliding your hands in by your lower ribs. Wiggle the shoulders around a little bit and then come up into cobra pose, letting the heart reach out and forward with the same kind of intensity you put into the altar pose, which was a lot more intense of a pose. So it was easier to feel that pulling forward of the heart or pushing forward of the heart. One more breath in. Exhale, soften it down. Then you're gonna push back up onto your hands and knees. Take your hands, shake your fingers out. Spread the hand out, take the other hand, shake your fingers out. And spread the palm out. And then curl your toes and press up and back into downward facing dog. You can do puppy dog pose again if you'd rather just stretch the spine that way and not be bearing weight on your arms. Wiggle your hips around a bit, see what might be able to be loosened. Oh, my head, my neck, that needed to be loosened. My goodness. I think it was as much as I talk about trying not to hold all that tension in your neck, I wouldn't do it anymore. Nope, still doing it. One more exhale. And you're gonna look forward. See if you can bring just your right foot forward. So it might cut like here, and you might have to make a couple extra scooches. I'm gonna bring it up, and then you're gonna reach your arms up into a crescent lunge. And the crescent is describing the energy that's going on here. We've got the hips going forward, the heart going up, everything reaching until it continues that circular motion up and back. Can you lift your heart up just like you did in cobra pose? Big breath in. Exhale, take the hands down to your hip. We're gonna pivot on the back foot until it's all the way down, 2 straight legs. Then draw your elbows back. Start with the heart leaning forward, keeping the spine long. Notice if your right hip is pulling out to the side, can you bring it backwards just a bit? Big breath in. Big breath out. Draw your belly in, lift it up, bend into the front knee, come back up onto your back toes. Reach your arms up again. Just lengthening your spine like this, big inhale. Then you're gonna take your hands down, you're gonna step your right foot back, finding downward facing dog. Or you're down here on your hands and knees. That's just the difference that you'll pick them. Relax your head, breathe out. And then step your left foot up to the front of your mat. Maybe it's one step, bending the right leg a little bit helps. Stay up on the back toes, lift your arms, and finding this forward and up and out energy in the shape of your body. Expanding, strong feet, lifted inner thighs. One more big breath in. Hands at the hips, hop the back foot in so the heel comes up, the toes face out. 2 straight legs. Take your heart forward. Gently drawing that left hip back. 2 strong feet. Find your breath. Big breath in. Big breath out. Back up. You're gonna pivot onto the back foot, the back toes again. Oh, bend the front knee. Reach the arms up nice and long, back into this lunge. And then take your hands down, step both feet back, find downward facing dog for just a moment. Notice if the dog feels any different. Can you put that same kind of reach from your heart up to your hands that you did in the crescent lunge? Can you put that energy into this shape? One more exhale. And then if you've been up in down dog still, go ahead and drop your knees down, untuck your toes, sit back into child's pose. Maybe turn your palms up and wiggle your fingers a little bit. We don't usually do a lot of down dogs in the Sunday class, but it's just feeling right. As much as you're into doing it is okay. You can always take breaks. I'm going to come from here. Walk your hands back up to your legs. You're going to take your knees a little bit closer together, and you're going to curl your toes under. So you might just stop like this, and you can work on your breath here. If you're able to come up hard above your hips, I need to adjust there. We're going to try to take 3 steady breaths. Ready? Go. Just thinking of a smooth quality. At the very least, knowing we won't be holding it longer. One more nice, slow, steady breath. And then come off of your toes. Go ahead and drum roll on the top of your feet. And we have this idea that we want to try to be able to breathe in the difficult spots on our mat, that we were better at breathing in the difficult spots off of our mat, because the difficult spots off of our mat are so much more difficult, and I hope nothing more difficult than broken toe happens to you off of the mat for a great long while to come. If we can breathe there, we can breathe anywhere. Let's go back to downward dog. This is last time for a bit. Notice that the backs of your legs feel any more open. There's a line of connective tissue that runs all the way down onto the bottoms of your feet, and when we start to break it up with tennis balls or broken toe or what have you, we start to get a little bit more space all the way along. One more exhale. And then you're going to bring your feet up to your hands. Maybe your hands walk back to your feet. Bring your feet closer together. Bend your knees as much as you need. Go ahead and give a little wiggle of your hips side to side. And then bend your knees a lot more. Sit them all the way back. You should be able to see your toenails, no problem, or the tops of your socks, however you're practicing. And then reach your arms up into chair pose. One more exhale. Sink a little deeper. Straighten the legs. Lift up. Feel the fronts of your hips lifting up. Reaching all the way up from your heart to your fingertips. And bring your hands back down to your heart. I'll face you for a moment. Take your right leg and cross it behind your left, then reach up and hold onto your right arm. A little shift of the hips over to the right. Feeling the fronts of the hips open up. Push more into that back foot. Release this top shoulder. Big breath in. Big breath out. And coming up, releasing your arms, you're gonna cross the legs in the opposite direction. Reach up, hold onto your left arm, bump the hips gently to the left, push back more into that left foot, that back foot. Big breath in. Big breath out. And coming back up, go ahead and uncross your legs, just set them down about hip width apart. Take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. You're gonna bring your hands over to the left side of your waist. Drop both elbows down and back, both shoulders down and back. Now start to lift the fronts of your hips up. And then release your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Notice whether your shoulder wants to reach up and be buddies with your ear. Let it relax, let the ear come to it. On your next exhale, you're gonna release your nose down to the shoulder. And on your next exhale, roll the chin down to your chest. Go ahead and release your arms, look up, switch sides. So hands over on the right edge of your waist. Both elbows and shoulders draw back, even though it's not totally even. Give the fronts of your hips a little extra lift. And then the ear drops down towards your right shoulder. On your next exhale, the nose rolls down. Just take an inhale here. On your exhale, the chin rolls down. Release your arms and come on up. Keep your feet about hip width apart. You're gonna take an inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, come down, forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Giving yourself a little bit more room. Feel your tailbone rolling up, feeling your back bones one by one just continue to drip down towards the floor, relaxing that lower back space, that upper butt space. Then you're gonna keep the left leg bent or bend it more. Maybe the right leg gets a little bit straighter as you reach your right arm up in the air. Just gonna kind of push the hip out a little bit to release the outer hip. Exhale. Switch sides. Right hand down, right leg bends more than the left. Maybe the left leg gets pretty straight, maybe it's not quite as bent. Heart reaches up towards that top arm. Stay there, exhale. 2 hands down, bend the knees, roll it up. And then walk your legs out really wide. I'm gonna do a little bit of feet and paws shifting here. So in the center, take the toes forward, reach the arms up. And then on your exhale, you're gonna turn the toes all the way in a little bit over towards the right, bend into this knee. Now I'm pretty short there. I should lengthen my stance. Yeah, you might notice that. Make sure that your knee is going out in the direction of your toe. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears. And then we're gonna shift, taking the toes forward, straighten the legs, lifting up in the center. As you exhale, turning the toes over and a little bit, going into warrior 2. As you take your next inhale, so you can come back up in the middle. See if you can slow your breath down so that it really does take you the whole exhale to shift out into warrior 2. Then inhale, not just reaching the arms up, reaching all of you up, shifting in both feet, finding warrior 2. We'll do this a couple more times. You can always drop your arms down and shake them out if you need to. Every time you get in, it's just a tiny bit different. Just kind of seeing where this warrior 2 is. Being honest about the fact that there's a lot of shifting taking place. It can be very awkward. You're not really sure, like, what's the purpose here? Just like being able to recenter ourselves, finding the familiarity with getting into that space. Yep. I'm gonna do one more time each side. So you don't have to be directly following me, you're working with your own breath. Back up to the center. One more time over towards the left if you haven't already. And come back up to the center, turn the toes forward. This time we're gonna fold all the way down. So taking your hands down, maybe they're at your shins instead of the floor, that's all good. Give yourself a little bobblehead to release any tension that might be there. And I'm sensing more tennis balling in my future. Oh. Then you're going to take your hands over towards your right leg. Really reach with your left arm to kind of pull yourself in and release your upper back. If you would like to feel more sensation on the inside of your left or right thigh, bend your left knee a little bit, just a little. And exhale. And then the legs become more even. Walk your hands over towards the left leg and pull in a little bit more with your right arm. It's going to give you that upper back release that might feel super yummy. One more exhale. Oh, you might bend the right leg a little bit. Goodness. It's just there, April. How could you forget? One more breath out. And then 2 even legs, come back to the center. You're gonna wiggle your feet in a little bit closer here. Still keep them a little bit wider than your hips. Bend into your knees. Let your head hang down. One more exhale. Keep your knees bent, roll it up. Let your spine be nice and loose until you stack it up nice and strong. And then bring your feet in, the hip bone width apart. We're gonna take some half salutes, just continuing to kind of warm up the hinging in the hip. When I say halfway lifted, we wanna let the heart reach forward. And your halfway might be here. It does not have to be parallel with the ground. This can feel a lot better with a tight back or tight hips, yeah? But it's the heart that's lifting. The half is really like the heart up, yeah? So on your inhale, reach the arms up. Take this breath nice and slow. Exhale, we're gonna fold all the way down, just as low as you're going to comfortably go. Relax your head. And then it's the heart lifting halfway up. Inhale. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, all the way up. Lift the fronts of your hips too. Exhale, hands at your heart. Keep the fronts of your hips lifted when you're sitting all the way up. Inhale, lift it. Arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up. Feel your tailbone reach back slightly. Exhale, drop it back down. Inhale, all the way up. Feel the fronts of your hips lifting as well. Exhale, hands to your heart. One more like that. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, relax it back down. All the way up, inhale. Exhale, hands at your heart. I'm gonna take a standing balance. We're gonna do 2 of them. One is gonna be lifting in the front. One is gonna be lifting out to the back. So if you have a hard time grabbing onto your foot and you want to grab a strap or a sock or something, like maybe grab that at this moment, you can totally come closer to a wall. I conveniently have one there that still fails to catch me all the time. And I want you to take your left leg, I want you to wiggle your foot around a little bit. So we did a little bit of that broken toe to kind of break any step up. I want you to do a little bit more right now, just to keep the foot really flexible because it's going to be kind of a lot balanced. We're going to go from one to the other. So set your left foot down. Take your arms up, lift your heart up to your arms, and then try to stay lifted in the fronts of your hips as you reach this leg up. So you don't want to be back here, you want to be up here, yes? If you're feeling really frisky, you can extend the leg. One more breath in, and then go ahead and swoop it back. You're going to reach back and try to catch the inside of your foot. Lift those inner thighs. We want to keep the front of this hip lifted. Let the heart go forward, the foot presses back. Maybe you start to really open this up. Maybe not so much. Keep lifting your inner thighs so the knee doesn't fire hydrant out to the side. One more breath in. Release, nice and slow. When you get down, wiggle it out. And take your right foot, do a couple of those wiggles around on your toes. Loosening up the metatarsals here. And then coming back onto your right leg, you're gonna reach back. Oh, sorry, skipped one. Lift up. And lifting the fronts of your hips still as you lift that left leg up. If you are inclined to do so, knowing that it's harder, you might try to extend the legs, still reaching out in all directions. And then swoop it back. You're gonna try to catch the inside of your foot. Woo, okay. Lift the insides of the thighs. Reach the foot back, the heart forward. So you're thinking expansive in the body here. Big breath in. Exhale, release. Relax that foot. If you've moved elsewhere besides in the front of your mat space, you might start to go back there. We're going to take a transition back down onto the floor. We'll go to down dog and then to child's pose. Flow with me if you like. Inhale. Exhale. Soften it downwards. Find that lift again in the spine. Inhale. And then as you bend the knees, plant your hands. Make sure fingertips are spread out wide. Step back. Find downward facing dog. Notice if it's different, better, worse, not different at all. Who knows? Just kind of being with what it is. And then lowering knees again into child's pose. I get in those phases where I never call it out, and then phases where I'm like, we're gonna do like 5 child's poses today. Good luck. You wiggle a little bit, maybe massage your forehead on the floor. One more exhale. And then start to draw yourself up. You're going to take your right foot and bring it forward. And take your hands up onto your front thigh. Then lean forward into this leg. And then push down into that front foot so you get a little bit more lift. You're going to feel these inner thighs lifting up. Take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Stretch the chest open. Big breath in. Keep open. Exhale, release your hands. Flip them all the way up. Inhale, lifting your heart up and open just like you were. Keep pushing down to that front foot. One more big breath in. Exhale, take your hand down. You're gonna wiggle your right foot over towards the left so that you can turn the knee down into pigeon. My hips are still balanced. I'm not sitting on one side or the other. If this does not feel great to you, please lay on your back, put the ankle on the knee. You might need to wiggle your left foot back a little bit more. Give yourself just one more lift to your heart. And then go ahead and take it down, sleeping pigeon. Forearms can be nice. Sometimes bringing something underneath the head can be really nice so you're not holding onto your neck so much. You're not dropping your right hip down, but can you feel your right hip releasing towards your back foot? Sometimes that upper butt gets kind of tight. Can you release it back? One more exhale. And start to come up onto your hands. You can slide back into table or child's pose if that feels good. Maybe do some like side to side cat-cows, or slide it back and press back in a downward facing dog. Kind of examining for a moment. And lower your knees down. Take your left foot, step it forward, taking your hands up onto your front leg. We're going to start off by giving it a little extra split between the legs, and then push down on the front foot. So I gotta scooch my foot forward. I'm still pretty split open in the legs, but I'm a little stronger here. Hands go behind your back. Interlace your fingers, let the heart reach up. Keep that as you release your hands up. Still feeling the heart release up and forward. Good. One more breath in. And then taking your hands down, you're going to wiggle your left foot over towards the right. And I'll shift into pigeon. Slide my foot in a little bit there. You can see my shin is not parallel with the front of the mat because, honestly, just most hips don't work that way. It's like funny looking at how we have all of these alignment cues. We're like, oh, just contort yourself into it. And then we're all in pain. Like, let's work on stuff that the body does get into. Let's work on where the body can go. Let's make sure that we're not trying to fuel our car by waving a tennis ball over it and pretending that that's going to work if I believe enough. Just working in the realm of reality here, at least I try to be, when necessary. Releasing that left hip back towards your right foot. One more exhale. And then it's going to be your last down dog if you're feeling into it. It's not a long visit. You can always just sit back in child's pose or stay here. Table, just kind of wiggle it around or press it up and back. Release your head. Big inhale from wherever you're at. Big exhale. And then if the knees are up, they come down. We're going to come down into a seat. Take your right leg out, or left leg out in front of you. Your right leg is going to tuck in like so. So if you find forward folding to be not super wonderful in your body or your back, you're going to give the back of your hips a little elevation like so. See how I'm only kind of sort of sitting up on it? I just want to lift the back of my pelvis to start to spur and support the tilt forward in the pelvis. Here's another thing about this tilt the pelvis. When you lift the front of your hips, when you tilt the pelvis back, that knee is going to drop down. So that whole idea of I want to drop my knee down on the floor, not necessarily. If you want to be able to fold, feel your thigh bone coming into the hip socket. Now, so my knee lifts up a little bit. Maybe I take something and put it under it to support it. But I want the thigh bone to come in. And when it's in, my pelvis can tilt forward. So then from there, coming forward just as much as you like, which could be very different than the amount that I like or that you see other people liking. You come in and just soften your body forward, and that's our intention. There's no purpose or there's no reason to have a goal of putting your face on your leg. Really, there just isn't. The reason we do this pose is to release the back side of the body. Create a drawing inward that can be very soothing if you let it. One more round of breath. And start to come up, and you'll switch legs. As you get right leg forward, you could, be sitting up on things, prop yourself up however it makes sense to you. Sometimes you do adjust the flesh around a little bit. And then instead of dropping your knee down, can you feel the thigh bone pull in, which is going to let your hips tilt forward, and from there coming into a fold. I've been having a lot of tension in my right hamstring, and I try to go at it every day, acknowledging that it doesn't feel like it did a few years ago, acknowledging that I want it to feel like it did a few years ago, and just making sure that I'm not pushing too much when I go into it, because I would like to relax it, not to stress it out further. Is it different today? I don't know. Let me see. Maybe some ways, maybe not other ways, but then working with what it is. Not just, telling myself some untrue narrative that my hamstring's just totally fine today. Just meeting it where it is. One more exhale. Starting to walk it back. You're going to take your left leg out, bring your right leg in. This time the knee faces up and you might cross the leg over. Lift your left toes, right hand in nice and close. Hug the thigh, lift your spine, soften your belly into this twist. You should be able to relax the collarbones open and relax the rib cage softly inwards, so kind of closed. To use such a closed, but One more exhale. And releasing the twist, finding the other side. So take the right leg out, left leg in, maybe it crosses over. Spine is up nice and tall, this arm is there to support it. Hug the thigh, lift up behind your ears, soften the belly. Top of the chest opens, the bottom of the chest softens in to allow the twist. Make space for it. Make space for what is. Breathing in. Breathing out. And releasing. Last breath out, I got a lot more. Now you might want to come back to sitting up on something here if you haven't done already. We're going to take a little bit of Sukhasana, easy seat, crisscross applesauce work. So just cross your legs however it makes sense to you. Then switch the cross of your legs. Altering your reality towards the slightly tighter side. And we'll just do a little bit of work here before we go to the one that might feel a little bit more natural, whatever natural is. Take your right hand out to the side just a little bit. And then you're going to reach up and out through the left, releasing the shoulder blade, relaxing the left hip down. Release your ears from your shoulders. We have this tendency to tilt the head back and shorten the back of the neck. Can you let your jaw soften? Breathing in. Breathing out. And coming up, taking your hand over just a little bit, and then reaching up and out through this side. I'm going to think of releasing all the way down through that hip. So we're releasing the back. That hip and back space being a part of what allows us to fold. One more exhale. And coming on up. Then you're either going to stay here, just working on a nice long spine, because you're like, that fold is not going to serve me today. It's going to be disgruntling or frustrating. If that's going to be the case, or you get there and you decide that, hang out here. If you come forward, this is interesting, I could go further, go wherever you're going to go. Go back to some of those feeling words and textures. Let this be a softening inwards, a slowing down, a tuning down. One more exhale. And start to walk it back in. And as promised, other side. So if this is the way that you originally just go and cross your legs, it's probably the one you do almost all the time, because we're going to stick generally with what's most familiar, what's most accessible in the body. So let's just change that. Starting with the side bends, just go ahead and take your right hand over, reach that left arm up. Yeah, so I'm not just trying to be here, I want to be outwards. Oh, exhale. Come on up, hand goes over a little bit. Right arm reaches over and outwards and downwards in that hip. Exhale. Take it up. Before we go forward, take your hands back. Let your heart stretch out. One more breath in. And soften. Maybe coming back here. Maybe coming forward. Seek softness here. A softness with yourself, physiologically in your body and also psychologically, by giving yourself the grace to simply be where you are with what we are doing. Yes, at other times you may have been in different places when you find yourself in a moment of frustration. Oh, it could be another way. Well, it's not. So what do I do with what is? One more round of breath. And start to take yourself back up. And then we're going to lay all the way down on our backs for a moment. If you've got anything around, you can step out to your side unless you don't want it. Again, in Shavasana, just the shorts. Okay. All the way down here. Just extend your arms up overhead. Reaching out long from fingertips to toes. One more full breath in, really fill yourself up. On your exhale, let it go. And see if you can kind of like overinflate yourself a little bit, almost a little bit too stretchy, and then let it go. And then one more time, just big. It doesn't have to be too much unless you want it. And then roll over onto your belly. I just got here, I know. Take your left arm out to your left side, right hand under your shoulder, look to the right, roll the right leg back, stretching open across the front of your chest, especially that left side. Notice if there's a resistance. If there's a resistance, back off a little bit, let it soften. See if maybe you can open up a little bit more. One more breath. And over onto your belly, switching sides, finding that left hand in, right arm out, palm faces down. When you find a moment of resistance, back off for a moment, and then maybe if there's space, try again. Going at it with softness, going at it with the right intention and perspective, but of course not trying to tear your arm off. One more breath in. Deep breath out. Then you're gonna roll over onto your belly. Make a pillow for your head with your hands. Just rest your forehead or a cheek down, that's okay too. So this pose is just so good when it starts to get hot. I know some of you are moving into the colder months. Some of us are moving into the hotter months. This is also a good one for when you're feeling like your mind is racing a lot or you're having a hard time sleeping. It can be very soothing to the nervous system, so it can help slow us down, like the heat in our body physically, and it can also help to slow down the heat in our minds. Consciousness, very grounding. You are making this deliberate contact with the earth, with a lot of you, a lot of your body. One more exhale. Rolling over onto your back. Once you get there, sliding your heels in up by your hips, wiggle your shoulders underneath your back, arms down by your sides, hips go up in the air. See if you can interlace your hands and then wiggle your shoulders in more. Finding a nice big bridge pose. Lifting up the fronts of your hips. Strong in the big toe edge of your feet too. One more breath in. And releasing your shoulders. Your hips down. And we're going to go up a second time, a back bend of your choosing. Probably it will be bridge again with me. Push down into your feet, lift your hips, wiggle the shoulders under. Hold hands if you can. Feel your heart pulling up to your nose, your knees reaching away. One more inhale. Relax your shoulders and your hips down. Let your knees knock against each other. Now we're going to reverse that, bring your feet closer, let your knees open up. You can take your hands and gently touch the sides of your thighs or not. If this feels like too much, just drop one knee down, let the other one come up, and this will just relax a little bit more gently without splitting you in two. If you've got just the one leg, take another breath and switch to the other side for about 3 or 4 breaths. Taking your thighs and closing them back up. Bringing your knees into your chest, cross at your ankles, reach outside of your legs to hold on to your shins or your ankles, and you're kind of holding hands here. That just feels good. Rock around if that's soothing or interesting to you. Cross your ankles the other way. Reattach your bind if you need to. Knowing that we're going to spend kind of a long time in these twists, so you'll just make sure you'll find a place that you can breathe in for a good long while and not worry so much about when the heck I'm going to ask you to get out of it, because you could at any time. I'm going to open the arms up, let your knees roll over towards the right. Yeah, I need to adjust some things here. Now, there we go. Kind of wiggle the shoulders more open. Just shift that knee and the hip. Letting every exhale soften you. Relaxing your left shoulder. Checking in with the rest of your body, seeing if there's anywhere you are holding tension and giving it permission to stop. And just go at it barely. No, I'm not tense, I'm not tense. How about, hey, let's just let it go. We can do that. Breathing in. Breathing out. Switching to the other side. Roll it over, wiggle what you need to, come into a place you can be soft. Relaxing your right collarbone. One more exhale. As you come back to the center, go ahead and set your feet down, let the knees knock against each other again. Take your arms and reach them up, backwards on the floor behind you. If there's anything else that your body is asking you for as we scale up practice, got enough time to take another pose or movement and still get plenty of shavasana. But if you are ready to rest, you're either going to hang out in this constructive rest with the knees bent. You can take a seated meditation or slide those legs out. The palms and the feet flop open. I always like to give an extra small snuggle of the shoulders together underneath the heart, just because it gives a little bit more room for the chest to open. Providing the space for the tightness in the chest to release. Not forcing it, just being there for it. Rest very well. starting to come back to your body. Tuning in to how you're feeling. Just a little check-in again. Notice if any of those feeling words or thoughts that you had when you began, if any of them have shifted, your perspective, your intention has shifted at all. Decide what you'd like to take with you for the rest of your day and your week. When you're ready, curl over to one side, giving yourself a moment of gratitude for this practice, for spending this time together. And then coming up to your own version of a comfortable seat. Bringing your hands together at your heart. Seal our practice, releasing it all. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love, the light, and the darkness within each of our hearts. And our belly rubs. Oh, thank you so much, friends. I'm so glad you were here. Let me know if you have questions about anything, comments, etc. Yeah. Oh, you guys were outside. Nice. You'll be seeing me do this outside in the coming weeks because I can't be in here when it's one of those 90-degree days. So, yeah, that's that.
Yeah, it's for sure. It's too nice out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Beth and Jamie. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you for being here. Let me know if you need anything. Enjoy the glorious weather, those of us who are here and those of us who are elsewhere. Enjoy that too. You had a good summer, I think. So.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. Bye.
Thank you, April. Have a good week.
Thanks. Take care, Victoria and Marco.
You too.